welcome back. In our previous segment, we got introduced into the excretory system, and we also looked at the urinary system. Right now, we are going to look at the internal structure of the kidneys. What are we required to do? We should be able to draw, at least we should be able to draw the basic diagram. This is not a very nice diagram, it is a basic diagram, just for illustration, just to show us what is inside. So we are looking at the internal structure. Then we should be able to give the functions of the basic parts of the kidney. So we shall also discuss how urine is formed, still in this segment. Study 101 Uganda. Don't forget to subscribe to the page. Feel free to like the videos and to share a link with a friend. So this is the kidney, that is the structure. This is a basic diagram. So it has got a renal artery and a renal vein. You need to be very attentive here. The renal artery is, from now my picture is colored, but your exam will not be colored. Your exam will be in black and white. So they will not use colors, but they will use the arrows. And it does not matter which comes first. This arrow, you might find the other examiner draws it with the renal vein first and then renal artery. And then I have drawn the left kidney. The examiner might draw the right kidney. So it does not matter. It might be facing the other way around. So we are now looking at the two arteries, the two blood vessels on the kidney. We have got the renal artery and renal vein. The artery is the one that is bringing in oxygenated blood. It supplies the kidney with oxygenated blood. Renal artery. Then we have renal vein. Renal vein is carrying away blood. Once you see the arrow taking out, then that is a vein, because it is leading back blood back to the heart. Then our kidney here has got these regions. It has got the outer region, it has got the middle region, the one which is in the middle, and then the innermost region. The outer region is called a cortex. That's the cortex. Some people say renal cortex. Then we have got this middle region, which is called the medulla. Medulla basically means middle. Medulla, and the medulla is basically a space. So we have got the medulla, and then the innermost is called the pelvis, or renal pelvis. Then these pointed bits are called pyramids. One is a pyramid, many are pyramids. So these pointed ones are pyramids. We shall see their functions. Then we have got a ureter, like we saw in the earlier video. This is a ureter. So what are the functions of these structures of the kidney? The renal artery supplies the kidney with oxygenated blood. That's why I used red color there. And then the renal vein carries oxygenated blood. It carries deoxygenated blood from the kidney back to the vena cava. Then the cortex, the outermost region. On the outermost region, there's a membrane, there's a tough membrane, which we normally call a capsule, which protects the kidney. So the outermost, this layer, but it is rarely examined, that's why it's not that important. So this outermost region, called the cortex, that is where ultrafiltration of blood to remove wastes takes place. Ultrafiltration of blood takes place in the cortex, in a region called cortex. Then in the medulla, selective reabsorption. The important process that takes place in the medulla is called selective reabsorption. So in the medulla, selective reabsorption of the useful materials takes place in the medulla. And then urine will pass through the pyramids. The urine will pass through the pyramids and it will collect in the pelvis. So what is the work of the pelvis? That is where urine collects. That is where urine collects before it drips down to the urinary bladder through the ureter. What is the function of the ureter? The ureter is the passage of urine from the kidney to the urinary bladder. So those are the parts of the kidney with their functions. What we need to talk about here now is how urine is formed. You need to be attentive on this. So the renal artery, which supplies the kidney with oxygenated blood, it subdivides into arterioles, and the arterioles are distributed throughout the cortex. The arterioles are distributed throughout the cortex. And then the arterioles further subdivide into capillaries in the cortex, and then the smallest functional unit of the kidney is called a nephron. And in the nephron, that is where the actual ultrafiltration of blood takes place. But we shall just say it takes place in the cortex. And then that blood is filtered thoroughly. It is filtered to remove a lot of things. It is filtered to remove the wastes, excess water, excess salts, urea, uric acid, and other important things like glucose. Some proteins are also removed in there. Ultrafiltration. Ultra means it's so serious. Then, if during ultrafiltration, even some of the useful big components of blood are removed. Some of the useful materials are removed. So we now move to the medulla. In the medulla, since we said even some useful materials have been removed in the cortex, in the medulla here, the useful materials are reabsorbed. They are reabsorbed, selective reabsorption. So the kidney can selectively reabsorb useful materials through the medulla back into the blood. Then the materials that are not needed, like the excess water, excess salts, urea, uric acid, those ones are collect here as urine, and the urine will, after it collects here, it will be let down through the ureter to the urinary bladder. That is how urine is formed, through two major processes: ultrafiltration and selective reabsorption. What are the functions of the kidneys? What are the functions of the kidneys? We shall talk about two major functions. The first one is it purifies blood. The kidneys purify blood by filtering it. That is the process I've just explained. The kidneys purify blood by filtering it. And secondly, the kidneys help in osmoregulation. Osmoregulation. Okay, let me write the spelling here. Osmoregulation. Functions of the kidneys. The first one, the kidneys purify blood by filtration, by filtering it to remove the waste. And secondly, they help in osmoregulation. Osmoregulation has to do with the salt-water balance in the body, or what we would call the balance of the electrolytes in the body. Then to identify two major processes of urine formation. We have said ultrafiltration and selective reabsorption. Where does ultrafiltration of blood take place? It takes place in the cortex. And where does selective reabsorption of useful materials from the blood take place? It takes place in the medulla. Normally, examiners throw letters around here and they begin asking such questions. They can put letter Q here. Where does Q lead to? Q leads to the urinary bladder. Another important thing we need to talk about are the diseases of the kidneys. Diseases of the kidneys. The first one that I will talk about is cancer of the kidneys, which is also called kidney cancer. Then kidney stones. Kidney stones, you need to look for textbooks and read about those diseases, the details of those diseases. Kidney stones are caused due to accumulation of calcium salts, so in the kidney, preventing it from functioning well. Then another disease is nephritis. Nephritis, inflammation of those tiny structures I called nephrons, that's called nephritis. Those are the diseases of the kidneys. We also can talk about the bad health habits for the kidneys. Watch out for these bad habits. Number 1, consumption of alcohol. Number 2, taking raw salt. People who add salt, raw salt to food. Raw salt is dangerous for your kidneys. And failure to take water. Failure to take water. Those 3 are some of the bad health habits for your kidneys. Now, what of the good health habits for your kidneys? When we talk of good health habits, we are trying to talk about maintenance, how we can maintain the kidneys. Number 1, having a balanced diet. Because when you have a balanced diet, you will get cells that help to maintain, to build the kidneys and to repair worn-out tissues in the kidneys. The second good health habit is doing regular physical body exercises. The third one is taking plenty of water. Taking plenty of water. When you take plenty of water, it helps to cleanse the kidney. It helps to remove some of those toxic wastes that you take in when you take the sodas that you drink. So, taking plenty of water. Then the other one is reduce the intake of those fizzy drinks. Reduce the intake of raw salt or table salt. Those are some of the good health habits for your kidneys. Thank you for watching.